And we are taking off on a Wednesday hump day on what is the hottest show on the streets, the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information. That being in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Really excited, pumped up to have each and every last one of you tuning in to the network show, channel, and brand on today. A lot to discuss, to talk about, to dive into this week. The home opener for the Crimson Tide. Week 1 was great against Missouri. Got the 38-19 win. But this is week 2. The Crimson Tide returns home to Tuscaloosa, Bryant-Denny Stadium. Home opener against Texas A&M. This is going to be a good matchup right here. Got a lot to dive into, and as always, we're bringing you the show from Tuscaloosa, streaming this to you via YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best in news, notes, alerts, and analysis on your favorite football program. Along with YouTube, we're streaming this to Facebook as well, so all of my Facebook people out there coming to you also, and we're streaming this on Twitter too. So YouTube, we got you, Facebook, we have you, and Twitter, we got you rocking and rolling here and discussing your Crimson Tide. As always, it's awesome to be joined here by the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro in the production room, John Ivory, doing his thing. Later on in the show, we're going to sit down with former Alabama wide receiver Matt Caddell for another fun, entertaining, exciting, interactive segment with him as the Crimson Tide gears up for those Aggies of Texas A&M. But we want you involved in the conversation. That's right. We want your energy, your enthusiasm, your passion, your phone calls, your thoughts, your ideas. We want to hear, what do you think about? What do you feel when we discuss Alabama football with you, the great fans out there? And you can do this by calling 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Well, we start things off here with this week's matchup, Alabama, Texas A&M, Bryant-Denny Stadium, 2:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff from Tuscaloosa. CBS will have the call, and wow, week 1 was a good week, and I've mentioned that. Against Missouri, Alabama offensively, first half came out playing great football. Mac Jones did his thing. Defensively, you see what happens when Alabama has a healthy Dylan Moses. Players flying around the field, Christian Harris making big hits, Will Anderson, the freshman, did some great things. Defensive front played well. You saw when you have the veteran players out there, how exciting this group looks. Now, of course, there are still some things that need to be cleaned up, and those things will get cleaned up this week. But all in all, if you watched week 1, it was a strong performance there by the Crimson Tide. This week is where the test starts to come in, because you take on a Texas A&M team head coached by Jimbo Fisher, who's in his 3rd year. In his 3rd year with the program, and Aggie Nation is a little bit impatient right now. And the reason why Aggie Nation is impatient is because for Texas A&M fans, they feel like because we donate $500 million into the program, $498 million to be exact, because we donate $500 million into the athletic facility, we feel like we should be on the same level as Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Florida, LSU, the big boys when you discuss the SEC. That's how Aggie Nation feels like, and it was the reason why they went out there and they made the hire of Jimbo Fisher and paid him a whole bunch of money, because they felt like, okay, here's a guy that's a national championship coach, right? National championship coach. Here's a guy that had, a Heisman-winning quarterback in Jameis Winston at Florida State before Florida State went downhill. Here's a guy that can put offenses together, that has the recruiting power. Here's a guy that can put us in a situation, being Texas A&M, to compete for, SEC championships, to compete for recruiting titles, to compete for, putting us in a best spot where we can compete and take down Alabama every now and again. Here's a guy that can maybe put us in an opportunity to compete for the college football playoff. And thus far, it hasn't really been that way for Texas A&M. Hasn't been that way for them. So the Aggie fan base getting a little bit impatient, going, Jimbo, where is our time coming? Where is our moment coming? When are we going to get our piece of the gumbo here? When is it time for Aggie Nation to really do its thing? So it's facing Alabama this weekend at Bryant-Denny. And in this matchup, I am targeting two specific positional groups for the Crimson Tide that will be tested, in this matchup. And the first group that will be tested will be Alabama's defensive front. Alabama's defensive front will be tested in this ball game just due to when you're playing a quarterback like Kellen Mond. And I know he's been in this system at Texas A&M for going on 5 years, 4 to 5 years here. He's been playing at ball for a long time, going back to his freshman year in 2017. And he's a good quarterback. He's athletic. He's mobile. He's got a talented arm. He's got a lot of good tools to the arsenal there. But the main thing with Mond is the question that we keep asking ourselves, at what point will he go from good to great in terms of quarterbacks? There is something that seems to be sort of holding him back. Is it where he has hit his plateau? Is it he has hit his peak and he's just going to be a good quarterback? Or do we put the blame more so on Jimbo Fisher here? So in facing Kellen Mond for this defensive front of Alabama, it's got to do two things here. Number one, it's got to collapse the pocket from the inside, right? Kellen Mond likes to step up in the pocket, follow through on his throws, and get the football out there. Now, of course, he will not have his favorite receiver, his roommate, Jamon Osborne, the best pure receiver for A&M, just due to he opted out. And then, of course, Kendrick Rogers, the 6'6" specimen, he is now with the Dallas Cowboys. But there's still talent there on the A&M roster offensively, and it's handled by Kellen Mond. So from the defensive front perspective, and we're looking at guys like LeBron Ray, DJ Dale, Justin Eboigbe, Christian Barmore, should he play in this game, and I believe he will. And then guys like Dylan Moses, Christian Harris, Christopher Allen, Will Anderson. They've got to collapse the middle of the pocket. They got to pressure the middle of the pocket, not allow him being Kellen Mond, to step into his throws and make those throws down the field to his litany of talents here. But at the same time, when you look at Christopher Allen, Will Anderson, and your two defensive ends, LeBron Ray and Justin Eboigbe, or LeBron Ray, Christian Barmore, that group of four has to be able to also contain the outside, right? Because Kellen Mond likes to break containment of the pocket. We have seen upon Alabama facing Texas A&M the number of times it has, the two have faced off against each other. When Mond breaks contain of the pocket, he can do some things with his feet. He can do some things with his legs. He can also escape the pocket and whip that ball down the field. So for LeBron Ray, Justin Eboigbe, Christian Barmore, Will Anderson, and Christopher Allen, being able to also contain that outside and keep him within the pocket to where he can't go outside and be dangerous, but then once again, that inside push coming from DJ Dale and the rest of the gang collapse that pocket, and Kellen Mond has nowhere to go to with the football. So that defensive front will be tested this week, having the discipline, having the gap assignment, playing situational football, playing assignment football, reading the keys there up front when you discuss, not allowing for Kellen Mond to have a big day against you. But along with that, I'm going to direct the secondary this week also. I'm targeting Alabama's secondary because against Missouri, Mizzou didn't have just a bunch of game breakers at wide receiver. Jalen Knox is good. Kiki Chisholm is 6'4". He's pretty good. Damon Hazelton, 6'3". He's pretty good. But there are some teams in college football, especially in the SEC, they specialize in recruiting a specific position. And at Texas A&M, it specializes in recruiting rangy, tall, physical, 6'3" and taller wide receivers. A&M has always tended to do this. And this year, not anything different. Now, once again, doesn't have Jamon Osborne, doesn't have Kendrick Rogers, but they've got a speedster and Anaya Smith, of whom A&M will use in the slot. A&M will probably have him going in motion. They'll probably put him at running back. The same way Alabama likes to use Jalen Waddle, Texas A&M will try to use Anaya Smith in the same way. So he's one of their main guys. And then behind him, you've got Caleb Chapman at 6'5". He's the physical receiver on the outside. Against Vanderbilt last week, caught 4 passes for 40 yards with a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. Then they got a big tight end in Jalen Werdemeyer. Werdemeyer had a great freshman year, 4 touchdown receptions for him. He's a very, very athletic tight end. So A&M's got offensive pieces here. So for the Alabama secondary, this is the game where you're going to see Patrick Surtain, Josh Jobe, Malachi Moore, Jordan Battle, Daniel Wright, DeMarco Hellams. This is the game where those guys are going to get tested a little bit. The ball is going to be thrown at them a little bit here. So this is the game where you got to see, Patrick Surtain man up in this game. Man up, body up, box out, create a turnover, create a big play here. Josh Jobe against Missouri, he played fantastic. No pass interference, no defensive holding, carrying that into this matchup, being able to body up on Texas A&M's weapons, be physical, not too physical, be passionate, not overly emotional, play your style of football, but play your technique at the same time. When I look at Malachi Moore, I kind of want to put a circle around Malachi Moore, the freshman, because I honestly feel like A&M will try to put Anaya Smith on him. I feel like A&M will try to line Anaya Smith in the slot and have him go one-on-one with Malachi Moore. They may do it early in the game. They may do it later in the game. But I just feel like at some point in the matchup, they will put Moore, the 4-star, on Anaya Smith, or Anaya Smith on Moore, if we're talking Texas A&M. So that's going to be an interesting matchup there to keep your eye on. And of course, your guys, Daniel Wright, Jordan Battle, DeMarco Hellams, doing their job on that back end in creating pass breakups, forcing some turnovers if you can get your hands on them, and more importantly, breaking down in space to make those tackles. Texas A&M loves to get yards after contact and yards after the catch. We saw a couple of times last week, these issues did not go into being big plays for Missouri, but there were still a couple of moments where Alabama caught arm tackle a little bit. Daniel Wright caught arm tackle a little bit. A couple of other guys were trying to arm tackle. So this week, got to break down there and make those plays in space. But the defensive front for Alabama and the defensive secondary for Alabama, not much of a major test against Missouri's offense. It's going to be tested this week against A&M, especially with what Jimbo Fisher is trying to bring to the table and trying to convince the Aggie fan base that he is the guy in terms of being the head coach as he's in year 3 here at the program. But we take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, getting you set and popping here on a Wednesday. Upon our return, we entertain your phone calls, your tweets, your chats, your questions, your ideas of Bama football right after this.
Every man deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care. In support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
We are back in from the break on the hottest show on the streets, the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news on a Wednesday with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama magazine. There's an issue here with the YouTube chat line. It's a YouTube issue right now with the chat line. I know for a fact that if you do send a super chat, we may not see it now, but we will definitely see it after the show. There's a tiny issue there with the YouTube chat line. We will try to get that, looked at as soon as possible. But for those of you locked and loaded into the show here, we appreciate you guys tuning in right now. Of the super chats that we do see right now, we're going to shout those out. So first and foremost, we do see DeMarco Brooks. DeMarco Brooks throwing in that $10 there via the super chats. Appreciate that, DeMarco Brooks. And we also see Senator Hines, a part of that Blue Wrench gang there. Senator Hines dropping in that $25 via the super chats. Once again, there's just a small issue with the YouTube chat line. We will get to that, dissect that as soon as we possibly can here. But once again, Todd Nation, 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And we'll start things off with the man, Senator Hines. What's going on, man? It's Wednesday. Welcome into the show.
Steven, what's up, man? I missed y'all Monday. Oh, my God. I was working, and I was on my way home and had to stop and help somebody else, and I missed the show. But I came back and I rewatched it, man. Great show Monday. I heard the energy and all the fans wailing with the bars. I know you guys were excited to get that. I'm telling you, man, it only gets better from here. But, Steven, I heard you talking about that defensive side, man. I saw some great improvements, not yet where we want to be or where we're used to being at, but I saw a night and day difference from last year to this year, and we all know the answer. Dylan Moses calling the plays, calling the signals in the middle of that defense just opened everybody up to just fly around. And I think that's what's going to save us this year with us not having a spring and us not having as many bye weeks and being able to play those warm-up games. Us being able to make the right calls and guys just being able to be athletic and be athletes, those 5 stars and 4 stars that they are, and fly around and just make solid hits. That's one thing I do see us having to work on is tackling on that back end. I saw a lot of safeties trying to get some kill shots. If they would have wrapped up a couple of plays, wouldn't have got broken out. But overall, Steven, I'm in love with our defensive front. Oh, my God. You really couldn't assess any one defensive lineman because we were rotating them like they were going out of style. Like, it was like, man, every play one of them got in, they were making an impact, each one of them. But how you feel about this week? I was watching the A&M film. That right side of that offensive line is horrible. That right side of that offensive line is horrible, and that's the side Will Anderson and LeBron Ray, Chris Allen comes from that side. I mean, like, how you feel about the matchup on that side?
It's going to be really interesting, Senator, because there's a lot of pressure on Jimbo Fisher right now, and I talked about it in that first segment. He's in his 3rd year, and for a lot of coaches, once you hit year 3, this is where the fans, the boosters, everybody within your particular program begins to judge your play, begins to judge your style of coaching. And A&M really felt like when it brought Jimbo Fisher in here, here's a guy that had a Heisman Trophy quarterback in Jameis Winston. Here's a coach that's won a national championship. He won one as a head coach. He won one in 2003 as an assistant on Nick Saban's staff at LSU. So here's a guy that's proven, and they paid Jimbo all this money. And for Jimbo being an offensive guy, they felt like he could get this thing, rolling here. But to struggle against Vanderbilt, the seller of the bottom feeder, the seller of the SEC, not the start that this fan base want to see. And when you bring up the offensive line there, Senator, and the problems it has, Alabama's going to look to feast on Kellen Mond, getting some sacks to him in that pocket. This week could be some desperation football for the Aggies.
Man, I just want to close it out with giving my little prediction. I called it 42-13. I think we're going to get a strong start. I think the defense is kind of disappointed how we finished the game last week. And I also think Coach Saban is going to put the pressure on Sarkisian to keep the playbook open a little bit longer and to put the pressure on the defense to start building these guys' conditioning up to, continue to play all 4 quarters, because I honestly think there's a systematic approach to this, being with the COVID-19 being out. I think he's trying to make sure everybody's getting some type of reps, some type of meaningful reps. But I think as they continue to, strengthen the studies and the testing, I think they're going to continue to play our ones longer into the game to be ready for, everybody's looking forward to UGA. But I got us winning this week, 42-13. Shout out to the chat room, Blue Rich gang, 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 gang. Roll Tide, everybody in the chat. Keep it lit up, man. Steven, you the man. TDA the best in the West and the East.
Appreciate the love, Senator, man. You keep listening to us.
Yes, sir.
I absolutely enjoyed the call there from Senator. Okay, people, so the YouTube chat's back on. Chat line is back on. We've diagnosed the problem. It's good now, so get the super chats rolling in. Get your thoughts, ideas, questions rolling in. The chat line is back up running and is a go. As you continue to get your thoughts coming up, or working in for the phone calls here, we got a few more super chats to shout out. How about J-Nail Gordier coming in with $1 with $1.99 here. So Janelle Gordier, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, please help me out there. But $1.99 in the super chats coming right there. Jay Lee dropping in 20, and Jay Lee another 20 more. Jay Lee came back. Jay Lee with 40, 2 back-to-back 20s here in the super chats, helping us out here at TDA. We take another phone call right now. You're live on In My Own Words to start your Wednesday. How you feeling right now?
I feel good, Steve. It's your boy Lionel.
Bug, what's going on with you?
Not much, man. I'm stuck in New York City for a couple weeks, man. But I'm sitting in front of my computer. I was doing some work, and then your notification popped up, and I was like, my guy Steve is really out here doing what he said he was going to do in the 9th grade, yo. At the breakfast table at Francis Marion High School, Steve said, yo, I'm going to be the best at this Alabama stuff. Eating the sausage and egg, muffin. And here we are, 9 years later? And my guy Steve literally has the best podcast in the state of Alabama. And nobody that I know can check him on the Alabama facts, period. I will put every dollar I have on it. So I really just wanted to call, we know Alabama's going to win this week. Come on. I really just wanted to call and tell you how proud I was of you, dude. I know we don't talk much because I'm always working, but I felt like you and your fans needed to know that, Steve's been talking about this for a long time. As long as I've known Steve knows more Alabama football, I think, that he does, breathe. He talks about Alabama football more than he blinks, more than his heart beats. The dedication that this guy puts in is real. And I want to see an Auburn fan do that.
You know what? Al? You know what, Al? I appreciate that, man. I'm trying not to cry, but I appreciate that, man. But hey,
don't do that.
Yeah. Thank you, bro, for the call. You keep listening to us. Tell Mel I said hey.
I will.
Appreciate the love that comes from my man L Bug, and we go way back, man, to the PC area here in Alabama. We got another call rolling in right here on a Wednesday. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Steve? How are you?
Man, I cannot complain right now. Well, this week Alabama comes home, Tuscaloosa, Brian Denny, to take on A&M at 2:30.
Yeah, I hear you. I had a comment I really wanted to make, not really necessarily a question, but I was listening to some of your I guess it's the playback. I saw a snippet there on the YouTube, and I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed, but I'm just trying to figure out why a lot of these analysts, you guys, keep talking so much about Bryce Young. You're not really talking a lot about Matt. I mean, Matt had a heck of a game on there on Saturday. I just want to know, Is there anything you guys going to talk about with Mac and kind of give him some of his some praise that I think he deserves?
Mac Jones made my game ball segment. He was the number one game ball I gave out. I was talking about Mac the whole offseason. I don't know if anybody else was, but the whole offseason, I gave Mac every bit of flower I could give out of my body, to Mac Jones. I'm still giving out flowers to Mac Jones. He had a heck of a performance. Even his incompletions were dead on the money, guys. We're just dropping the football out there. I counted 2 touchdown passes that Mac threw that were dropped. He could have had 4 or 5 TDs, in the game against Missouri. So from my end, Mac has always gotten the praise from me.
Yeah, I hear that, Stephen. I'm just saying, I saw the segment and it was talking a lot about Bryce Young, and I just didn't see anything. Well,
on the segment, my thing was over the weekend, right? So on Sunday, there were a lot of people that were commenting about they didn't feel like Bryce played the way that they thought he was going to play. I'm going to put it like that. A lot of people had big expectations, out the gate for Bryce Young, seeing how 5-star guy, high school All-American guy, big-time player, high school player. And when he, I guess, did not put up the numbers that they felt like he should have put up, then you had the ones that kind of griped and complained a little bit. I didn't think Bryce Young was terrible because he wasn't terrible. It's just that when you come behind Tua, people just feel like you got to come with it instantly, and when you don't come with it instantly, you got those that complain.
Right. And I understand that. I think I just kind of wanted to see, or hear, Matt kind of get more of credit for a great game that he played, and not necessarily have a whole lot of conversation about Bryce Young. Because like you said, he was coming in the second half, and I just thought that Matt played a heck of a game, and I just wanted to get his shine on and his praise, and so hopefully he has another great game this Saturday, and I look forward to hearing what you and others have to say about him. But I just really want to call and get those 2 cents in, and really enjoy your show, and I love what you guys are doing. I think that caller right before me seems to have a lot of great things to say about you. So you keep doing what you're doing, and roll tide to everybody out there.
Absolutely. Appreciate the call, man. Absolutely. I mean, I have always given Mac his just due, and I will continue to give him that because he's a guy that's earned it. He's been patient. He's waited his time. He has earned this moment to take this team and win a national championship with this group. But we take another break right now on the show. But upon return, we sit down with former Alabama wide receiver Matt Caddell for a fun segment as we prepare for Texas A&M after this.
If you want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry, delivery is also available through Waiter and Crimson To Go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back in from the break here, folks, on the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Once again, there's a slight problem with the YouTube chat line. There's a small problem with the chat line. We're trying to get that up and running there. Not quite sure what is the case right now, but small issue right there with the YouTube chat line. But we appreciate you guys for locking in, watching, checking out the show on today as we're bringing you the utmost best in Crimson Tide football coverage. As we make our way over here to the In My Own Words hotline, we pick up Matty Ice, Matt Caddell, former Alabama receiver, played from 2003 to 2007. He joins us often to have these fun, interactive segments, getting ready for the week of a football game. And Matt, Bama's got Texas A&M and Jimbo. Are you ready, Matt?
I am ready. Another exciting week. I think Bama's going to do great.
Huge week right here for the Crimson Tide. I spoke on, Matt, that this could be a game where the tests start to happen for Alabama in terms of the defensive front and the defensive secondary. Missouri played a good game. They played tough. They played hard. But I feel like this week, when you're facing Jimbo Fisher, who's got a lot of pressure on him in terms of being an offensive mind, that defensive front for Alabama and that defensive secondary will have a bit more of a test this week. But we're going to look at right now our players of the game. We did this last week. Tide fans were very excited to get a chance to check this out on last week. So our offensive and defensive players of the game for the Crimson Tide. And because I like to switch things up, we're going to go defense first, Matt. Defense first. So, Matt, your defensive player of the game for Bama. Who's got that defensive rock for you?
I got Christian Harris. I just think, he's going to have momentum coming off of Missouri. He's going to play more confidently with Dylan Moses. And, he can make tackles for loss. I think he's going to have a big role in containing Kellen Mond. So I'm going with Christian Harris.
You're going to go with Christian Harris right there. Not a bad pick at all. Christian Harris at 6 tackles against Missouri, a couple of tackles for loss, a sack, play with his hair on fire. Love what Christian Harris can do. My defensive player of this game is going to be Dylan Moses. This is the week Dylan Moses is my player of the game, and the reason why is when you're facing a quarterback as experienced as Kellen Mond, you want to make sure everybody around you buttoned up, know where to be, know what place to go, know when to pressure, but at the same time, know when to contain, because that guy has a lot of athletic ability on him, he being Kellen Mond. So this is the week here. Dylan Moses had a good week last week against Missouri. 4 tackles, including a couple of stops for loss. But this week, he's going to take it to that next level against Texas A&M, shutting down, containing Kellen Mond and the offensive mind that is Jimbo Fisher inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. So as we go now to the offensive side of the football, Alabama's offense tends to have quite the amount of success against Texas A&M in the years that it's played the Aggies, since the Aggies joined the conference in 2012. But Matt, your offensive player of the game.
My offensive player of the game is Jalen Waddle. I think he showed what he can do last week. Not just being a slot guy, but just being an every down receiver, and he's very effective. And I think he's from the Houston area, and I think he's going to have a great game versus Texas A&M, playing with some of the guys he's probably known, playing against high school and Pee Wee League. So. And I think he's just really ready to put on a show and continue his electricity show like he put on versus Missouri.
Absolutely, Matt, because, I mean, for me, I felt like week 1, Jalen Waddle showed NFL scouts, pay attention to me at wide receiver. I know you love me as a return man, kick returner, punt returner, but watch what I can do at wide receiver. He went out there, 8 catches, 134 yards, made a couple of really, really nice catches, including a 46-yard catch where he plucked the ball out the air between 2 defensive backs, had 2 touchdowns, both coming on 3rd down. I like your pick right there of Jalen Waddle. But for me, I'm going to go with his teammate, his counterpart. Give me Devontae Smith. I think Smitty sat there and said, Waddle, you think you're cooking? I'm the original cook. I'm the original George Foreman grill, Waddle. Let me show you how it's really done right now. So I feel like Waddle went off week 1. Devontae Smith saw that and was like, let me snatch a little bit of that flame back a little bit. So I think Devontae Smith in this matchup against Texas A&M, this will be the game where he cooks a little bit. He gets some big numbers up here. He shows that he hasn't lost anything. He had a strong game against Missouri. He had a strong game, but I felt like Jalen Waddle made that big statement against the Tigers. This week, Devontae Smith will make a big statement here against Texas A&M. But for those of you just tuning into the show right now, on In My Own Words, we got former Alabama wide receiver Matt Caddell on the phone lines here, played from 2003 to 2007, breaking down the players of the game here for the Crimson Tide facing the Aggies this week. Now, Matt, as we kind of transition here to Kellen Mond here, Jimbo Fisher's an offensive mind. Kellen Mond, an experienced quarterback, a talented quarterback, can run the football. He's got a good arm. The question we always want to know is what's sort of keeping him from going from good to great in a sense. But in this game here, what's sort of that recipe, if you will, for making sure that Mond has a difficult time creating momentum? What's the recipe against Mond?
I think it's really the defensive front. They're going to have to get pressure, and they're going to actually have to contain him, do an effective job, and not let him get out the pocket, not let him. The defensive tackles are going to make sure that they're going to have to keep that pocket, because any little hole he can break through and run and get a long run and keep the drive going. So I think it's important for our guys, to push the pocket, contain them, at defensive end, contain them, and the defensive tackles, push the pocket, make sure there are no holes. And if he tries to scramble, really don't let him go anywhere. Keep him contained. And I think if you can bottle up Kellen Mond, I think we have a really great chance of really shutting them down and having a successful win versus Texas A&M.
Now, when you look at just the atmosphere of this game, Matt, at Bryant-Denny, a significantly reduced capacity of fans inside the stadium. It won't be the normal over 100,000, it'll be a little bit over 20,000 this time around due to the coronavirus pandemic and people trying to promote the public health and public safety. There will be some fans that will attend this matchup, and when you look at it, will not having just this surplus of fans, do you think that will affect the Crimson Tide's performance in your mind at home, or do you feel like even with there not being a lot of fans, Coach Saban and this staff has these guys with the mindset of just still go out there and do your job on the field, regardless if the place is loud, regardless if the place is not as loud? Will the atmosphere inside Bryant-Denny have a negative effect?
No, I don't think so. Coach Saban's been preaching, it's going to be different this year. You got to bring your own energy, bring your own focus. Just be focused on the task at hand, be ready to execute. And I think I heard Mac Jones said, once they played, hearing the fans, it was just like any other game. So I think the Tide's going to be ready to prove themselves. I think they learned a lot from week one, especially on the defensive end. I know Coach Saban speaks about keeping up the intensity the whole 60 minutes. I think that's going to be a focus this week. And, we got a great opponent coming in with Jimbo and Kellen Mond. So it's going to be exciting. I think the guys are up to task to really go out there and execute.
It'll be a fun weekend, Matt, between Alabama and Texas A&M, 2:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff for the Crimson Tide against the Aggies from Bryant-Denny Stadium. CBS will have the call, so that will be Gary Danielson and Brad Nessler on the call for that matchup. But, folks, he is Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver, played from 2003 to 2007, as always, joining us with these fun segments breaking down the Crimson Tide in game week fashion. Matt, as always, man, we appreciate you. We thank you. You take care. You be safe. You be good. And, man, you enjoyed the matchup this weekend.
Thank you, man. Great show, and always roll Tide. Let's get another victory this weekend.
Tremendous job there coming from Matt Caddell. They're always a joy having him on to talk some Crimson Tide football with us and having these segments to where we can break down Alabama football from a different angle. But we take another break here on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't touch that dial, because when we get back, we return to you. Your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your questions. What are you feeling at this very moment when we discuss Bama football? We'll get to you guys after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are back in here, folks, from the break on a Wednesday, hump day, hottest show on the streets, number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. As always, got the man John Ivory, the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro in the production studio. And we encourage you, as always, give a like on the show, give a thumbs up on the show, hit that subscribe button, and turn on all of those notifications, so that way you can have the best in news, notes, updates, alerts, and entertainment on your Crimson Tide. There's crazy thing going on with the YouTube chat right now. It's popping in, it's popping out, but hopefully it will continue to kind of stay on as best as it can there. But we're back on you, Tide Nation, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard. We want to hear from you right now. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358 for them to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. As you're getting your thoughts together right now, I was happy that Evan Neal was back in practice on Monday. He was also back in practice again on today, but he was back in practice on Monday. You know, Evan Neal had some cramps there against Missouri, but the big man at right tackle, 6'7", 360 pounds, is okay. He's been back at practice this week. But once again, as you're getting your thoughts together here, I put out a poll, two different polls here. I put out a poll on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, and I put out one on the at In My Own Words TDA channel on Twitter. Be sure to follow the show page at In My Own Words TDA, at In My Own Words TDA on Twitter. Got 500 followers right now, so definitely encourage you guys to follow via the Twitter channel right there, Twitter page. But put up the same poll here on both pages. And the poll question was, you know, should Alabama get an interception? Should Alabama create a pick in the matchup against Texas A&M? Who would get the first pick? Who would get that interception? And right now, it seems like Patrick Surtain II has the lead with the majority of the votes right now. You can still continue to vote on the poll, but it seems like Patrick Surtain II is carrying the majority of the vote. Now, the guys I had in the poll were Surtain, Josh Jobe, Jordan Battle, and I had Daniel Wright in there as well. I wanted to put Malachi Moore in there, but unfortunately, you know, Twitter and YouTube doesn't give you enough characters to do a poll with. But right now, Patrick Surtain II leading with the majority of the vote there in the poll that I put out there on Twitter, and on YouTube. I hope he gets the first pick. I would like to see Patrick Surtain get the first pick. I mean, come on. He's trying to create some type of a first-round NFL draft stock for himself, so I would hope, you know, he gets the first pick. But it would not shock me if Josh Jobe gets the first pick. I mean, he's aggressive, plays strong, plays sound, has fine-tuned his technique. He ended the 2019 season with a pick versus Michigan in the Citrus Bowl, so I would not be surprised if Josh Jobe got the first pick. If Jordan Battle got the first pick, I'm not going to lie, I would get hyped up. If Jordan Battle got the first pick, I would be hyped up because I saw him in the Duke game last year to start the season. He got the first pick of the year, I believe, in that game. It was the first or the second pick of the year. I think Trayvon Diggs had the first pick, and then Jordan Battle came back after him. Now, the shock would be if Daniel Wright got the first pick. That would be the shock to me because, I mean, no offense to my man D. Wright. I mean, he can play. He's been here now going on his fourth year in the system, fourth year in the program, playing at free safety at 6'1", 195 pounds, former four-star of the 2017 class. He's got a lot of ability. He had to learn the system, definitely. He's had to put his body in the right frame, definitely, but he has the ability. It would just be kind of interesting to see if he would be the one getting the first pick because a lot of people just can't wrap their mind around Daniel Wright getting the first pick. But definitely you guys can vote in that poll right now on both YouTube and and Twitter on who you see as the defensive back or as the player defensively that can get the first interception there for the Crimson Tide. But once again, as you're getting your ideas together to call in here, the University of Alabama has put together some awesome videos here on its Twitter page. And of course, Greg Byrne talked about it. He mentioned it. Alabama was still trying to unveil the video for its new features on the Walk of Champions, walking through the tunnel, the graphics there, and it was also releasing the graphics for the new look locker room. And as you're seeing both of the videos on screen together, this is really, really cool. I mean, the locker room, whether it's chrome fixtures, whether it's the shiny ceiling, whether it's the new nameplates and how they design the nameplates, or having the graphics of former players on the wall. Greg Byrne in Alabama went all out with the locker room, man. I mean, while Nick Saban goes all out and making sure the players perform well on the field, Greg Byrne, in his 4th year as the athletic director, he is going all out to make sure Alabama behind the scenes looks good. I mean, there's an old saying that goes, and my old high school football coach used to say it. He used to always say, if you look good, you play good. Now, me coming from Francis Marion, we did not always play well, even though we looked good. But in this sense, for Alabama, this looks good. For Alabama football, this looks good, and I'm pretty sure the players excited about it, the players happy about it, and they want to try to play well. But we take another phone call here. It's Senator Hines calling back in again. Senator, what's going on, my man?
My bad, man. I wasn't trying to get back in on the phone line. My internet is acting up, so I had to come in and call in and try to listen to the show, man. But I guess I asked something else, man. I see that you were talking about the offense side of the ball and everybody's expectation of Bryce Young, and I heard the caller call in about Mac Jones. One thing I do want to see, and I wanted to see what you thought about it, I want to see us implement the run game more. I want to get Najee, at least 20 carries, get B-Rob at least 5 to 10 carries, and get Trey Sanders, put him in spots, because I saw in practice they had him lined up in the slot for one formation. They had him split out, and they had him running the quick scat routes on the outside off the quick reads. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that, man. You feel like we could implement the run game a little bit more, especially with the offensive line still trying to figure out a few spots, mixing and matching some guys?
I think Alabama needs to. Nick Saban and Steve Sarkisian, they want to implement that balance, especially, after the first team unit on the offensive line, you got to get the second and third group of guys to gel well together, because they don't have that continuity. And I mentioned on Monday's show, this was why spring football was so valuable and so important when you have guys like a Mac Jones, a Landon Dickerson. You have guys on this team that have been here for 3, 4, 5 years. They may not need a spring because the connection is there, the chemistry is there, the continuity is there. But for other guys that have not played together, they don't really know each other like that on the field, they needed that spring to learn each other, to feel each other out, so to speak, and not having that, those guys have to learn on the fly. So I feel like, Alabama with Coach Saban and Sarkisian, they're going to look to implement more run, but I think the biggest thing they want to do is to get more of these guys, Senator, playing together, playing fast together, learning each other, and trying to get them through sort of a crash course here because we didn't have spring, and just trying to get them to feel each other out. But yeah, I can see more run implemented.
Yeah, man. And I did want to highlight our team. Bama's offense looked a lot more prepared and were executing a lot better than most of the league. And I watched Florida. They looked nice, but Ole Miss didn't put up much of any type of a fight defensively. So Kyle Trask, he still looked nice, though. I won't take anything away from what they were doing. But other than them, man, we saw Georgia come out of struggle. We saw Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, those guys, those games, LSU came out and started slow. So I feel like the level of focus is on a different level. And I saw a comment on Feinbaum. A fan said this team has the makeup of that 2015 championship team where it wasn't flashy. You know, they just came in, did their job, and got it done, and that's what carried us through that season. So I really feel like we got that same type of makeup. I really agree with that comment. But thanks again, Steve, for having me on, man. And this, like I said, man, I couldn't miss this show for nothing, man. This is the best Alabama outlet. And shout out to your boy for giving you the love, man. That's big, man. When your friends and your people surrounding you notice you living up your dreams, doing big things, man, that speaks measures of the type of person you are, man. Be blessed and roll tide, brother.
Appreciate the love this in the door. Don't hang up, though, man, because keep listening to the show. Don't hang up, though. We appreciate the love they're coming from Senator Hines. They're calling back into the show. But to end the topic that we were discussing, Alabama, Greg Byrne doing a great job of beautifying or making Bryant-Denny Stadium even more appealing than what it already is with the new look locker room and the new features when you walk through the tunnel through the Walk of Champions there. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, I know I mentioned John Metchie as Calvin Ridley 2.0, but after rewatching the game against Missouri, another former Bama receiver comes to mind when I look at John Metchie. Who is the other former Bama guy? We'll talk about it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are back in here to the action, folks, on the hottest show on the streets, the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, on a Wednesday, hump day, we appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody for checking out the show, tuning in, listening, watching, calling in to the show on today. And before we get into the final topic here, we're gonna make this announcement right here. So the live show, in my own words, we do this live, Touchdown Alabama Magazine, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We do this live. We do this live here on YouTube, in my own words. So for people that want an Alabama show that's going to give them the information, definitely, but also the excitement, the energy, the entertainment, just all things embodying an Alabama football show where you, the fan, can feel like, man, like this is it right here. You got to check out, in my own words, Touchdown Alabama Magazine with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, and the man, John Ivory, in the production studio every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time on YouTube. Also, you are a die-hard Crimson Tide fan, and you know you are. You enjoy it, you eat it, you sleep it, you breathe it, you wear it. You got to do this right now. You got to go to TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. We got all of the apparel here for you. You want shirts, you want hoodies, whatever you are craving, we got it for you right here. TDAwear.com. Whether it's the We Want Football shirts, the Let Them Play shirts, the I Love Hearing Touchdown Alabama shirts, the hoodies, whatever you got, whatever you want, We got it for you right here. TDAwear.com. Let us be your plug for Alabama football apparel here, showing your support for Coach Saban, the Alabama Crimson Tide, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But we look at the wide receiver room here for the Crimson Tide, and one guy in particular, John Metchie. And, for me, it's been in the last few recent years where the Alabama receivers really have found what their niche is, what their niche is on offense, right? I mean, 2017, as talented as guys like Calvin Ridley and Robert Foster and Cam Sims and Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs were, Devonta Smith found his niche as, I am Mr. Clutch. I am the game-winning, touchdown-catching receiver. Like, if you do not keep somebody on me, I will burn you to bits and catch a game-winning touchdown. That was Devonta Smith's niche in 2017. And then 2018, despite the fact that you had Jeudy and Ruggs and Smitty, Jalen Waddle showed, hey, my niche is I am a dangerous return man. Not only can I create excitement and bring you to your feet as a wide receiver, but I can do those same things as a kick returner, punt returner. So in the last few years or so, Nick Saban has kept 6 to 8 receivers in a rotation, and that's not only to have, fresh bodies on the field and to frustrate defensive coordinators and defensive backs, but that's also to see what are the different skill sets that we have at each receiver position, right? Like, who's got a skill set that we can put on the field that can bring us something extra, that can present a new element, a new wrinkle, a new dynamic, if you will. So that's why you're seeing so many receivers, 6 to 8 guys on the roster each year here from Coach Saban. And as fun as it is to watch Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle do what they do, watching John Metchie in week 1 of Alabama's football season last week against Missouri, watching John Metchie was fun. I mean, this young man, 2 catches for 42 yards. When you look at the box score, that doesn't seem like all that much, but both of Metchie's receptions stretched the field. They kept drives alive. They ended up being, touchdown scores there for Najee Harris. He had 1 catch on 3rd down that moved the chain. And I got a chance to speak to Jalen Waddle during this week in player interviews. This is what Jalen Waddle said in answering my question about what does John Metchie bring that not many people know about. This is Jalen Waddle.
Stephen Smith.
Hey, Jalen, John Metchie had a couple of catches in the game. What is something that he brings that not too many people know about, but it's really good? John Metchie.
Metch is he got some sneaky speed to him. So I think, if the defender don't latch on to him, he's really getting out of there. And then he also had another in-breaking route that I thought he was going to get out of. But Metch, he created a lot of space, especially coming out of his route. So I really think he's going to get his chance to showcase his speed in due time.
That was Jalen Waddle talking about John Metchie. Now, I know for a fact, I have said this, he's Calvin Ridley's Canadian twin, and I will continue to say that. When you look at Metchie at 6 feet, 195 pounds, a guy that's got the size, the route running prowess, he's got some speed, he's got a ton of ability. And though I've said Calvin Ridley's Canadian twin, going back to what Waddle said, very sneaky, deceptive, subtle speed. Not a burner, but very sneaky, subtle, deceptive. That kind of reminds me of Kevin Norwood, if you will. If you remember, Kevin Norwood at Alabama was not a burner. He had that sneaky, sly, subtle, deceptive speed to where if you didn't watch him, he could get away from you, and he would create enough space coming off the line of scrimmage, freeing himself from a defensive back to where A.J. McCarron would see him, put the ball on him, and it would convert first down every time, and even touchdowns for that matter. So when I look at Metchie, as much as he is to me, the Canadian twin of Calvin Ridley, I look at him as far as the speed is concerned, and I'm happy Waddle kind of brought that into the conversation, by the way. When you look at the speed and how sly it is and how deceptive it is, it kind of brought me back to Kevin Norwood, because you go back and watch Norwood's games, especially against LSU, of course, when he burned Tyrann Mathieu in the national championship game, 2012 game off the 2011 season, and then the 2012 regular season burned LSU again, in the matchup at Death Valley, Tiger Stadium. He had that deceptive-like speed. He had that subtle-like speed to where you think he's not fast, but he just finds a way to create, get open, and make plays. And when you watch Jonathan Metchie, he's kind of got that same type of ability. So going to be fun to watch him this weekend against Texas A&M, creating that space, creating that separation, seeing what John Metchie can do out there on the field. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your Crimson Tide. Very simple and easy to get this. You get it by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download it from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you just so happen to have the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you right here: iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, Overcast.fm, TuneIn Radio, or iHeartRadio. We have you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I shall return on Friday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. A super chat for the road. Senator Hines dropping in that $9.99. Viva Super Chats. Appreciate the love they're being shown by our own Senator Hines, part of that glorious Blue Wrench gang right there. And once again, Tide Nation, don't forget, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. But until next time, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, school is in, but still do those things to legitimately now not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, and this has been In My Own Words.